Forged from the love of liberty in the fires of hope and prayer, with boundless faith in our destiny, we solemnly declare, side by side we stand, islands of the blue Caribbean Sea, this our native land. We pledge our lives to thee. Here every creed and race find an equal place, and may God bless our nation. Here every creed and race find an equal place, and may God bless our nation.
Heavenly Father, we come before you at the start of this new day, giving thanks for life, for health, and the opportunity to serve through this station. We ask for your divine presence to guide us in all we do. Bless this broadcast, that it may be a source of inspiration, joy, and unity to all who tune in. Whether near or far, may our words uplift, our music heal, and our message bring light to those who need it most. We pray for our listeners wherever they may be. Grant them strength for the day ahead, peace in their hearts, and success in all they put their hands to. Cover those traveling with your protection and those at home with your comfort and provision. Lord, may everything we do bring honor to you and be a blessing to others. Guide our steps, bless our efforts, and let this station be a vessel of positivity and hope. In your name we pray. Amen.
Your voice, your soundtrack, your station. New Era TT Radio, NETT Radio.
I'm lost in Trinidad. Oh na 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 na. Oh na 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 na. Oh na na. Oh na na. Soca in the morning, masqueraders calling. We dance until the sunrise. It's back and all we enjoy it.
When she whine, I follow. Go down and then take it slow from Trinidad to Tobago. We jamming all on the stage show.
I'm lost in Trinidad. Oh na 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 na. I'm lost in Trinidad. Oh na 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 na. Oh na 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 na. Oh na na. Oh na na. I'm lost in Trinidad. I'm lost in Trinidad.
Carnival Monday and Tuesday. Can't wait till we at Juve. Paint and powder on the roadway. With my friends and we exploring.
This soca feels so sweet. My body temperature full of heat. And we chipping down the road. And we not going home. I'm lost in Trinidad. Oh na 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 na. Oh na 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 na. Oh na na. Oh na na. I'm lost in Trinidad. Oh na 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 na. Oh na 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 na. Lost in Trinidad. I'm lost in Trinidad.
Last up on the avenue. myself.
Lost in carnival, and I can't be found again.
Hey, beautiful vibes, I'm so alive again.
Lost in carnival, and I'm ready to fit again.
I'm lost in Trinidad. Oh, na, na, na. Oh, na, 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 na. Oh, na, na. I'm lost in Trinidad. Oh, na, na, na. Na, 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 na. I'm lost in Trinidad.
Wake up, rise up. It's the NETT Radio Breakfast Show. Bringing you the energy, music, and vibes to start your day right.
I'm lost in Trinidad.
And guess what? We are so happy that you have decided to start your day not just right, but started with us here on New Era TT Radio, NETT Radio,
The masqueraders call.
Heartbeat of the Caribbean. And yes, you know, we take you above and beyond, right? It's beautiful.
She might not follow.
Midweek Wednesday, and of course, I thank you so much for making us that choice. Let me say good morning to Trinidad, good morning to Tobago.
In Trinidad. Oh, na, 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 na. Oh, na, 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 na.
Neighbors in the Caribbean, good day to your friends who are streaming all around the globe. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, na, 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 na.
Do hope that all that you do today is going to be a really fantastic one. Much thanks to the Heavenly Father for bringing us together for another day. And all that we do, dear God, let it be a blessing unto you. Sir Charles, that is me. Happy am I to be in your space as always. And I'm going to take a very special opportunity to say welcome to the Breakfast Show.
Get up, it's the time to start the day. The breakfast show is here, we bring in the soca way. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Wake up, it's a brand new dawn. The breakfast show got the vibes turned on. From Maracas Bay to the Savannah line. Let's start the day in Caribbean prime. Good vibes rolling through the air. The breakfast show, energy everywhere. We talk, we laugh, we make you think. Grab your doubles or your morning drink.
Uh-oh, guess what day it is? Guess what day it is? Huh? Anybody? Julie, hey, guess what day it is? Oh, come on, I know you can hear me. Mike. What day is it, Mike? Leslie, guess what today is?
It's hump day.
Good morning, everybody. Yes, it is Hump Day, midweek Wednesday, and we are happy to be here with you on the NETT, on the Breakfast Show. Good morning to Richard, who will join us shortly, and of course, Wendell. Good morning, Wendell.
Morning, Sir Charles. Good morning, Richard Swaratsingh. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago, and good morning, listeners and viewers all over the globe, especially those out there in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, and of course, Yokohama, Japan. All right, special good morning to you all. It's an absolutely wonderful Wednesday morning. It was raining in Arima this morning, though, at least for a lot of the way, because I actually came down very early this morning. It was wet on the road, but Port of Spain has no rain, at least not up until now. I haven't seen any rain as yet. So maybe it's just for the east of Trinidad and Tobago today. But anyway, be mindful, be careful on the roads. They are wet in the east. I don't know where else, but just take your time and be mindful. I don't know.
Santa Cruz also, Arima and Santa Cruz always have rain.
Yeah, but Santa Cruz always have fog and smog and everything else and mist and whatever you call it. But there are a bunch of guys that come out like wee hours of the morning. I think Mr. Patrick was associated with them at one time. I always admire them. They're on the road like between 3 and 5, maybe 3 and 4. Well, I used to actually come down sometimes around 3 o'clock. But I mostly do 4 o'clock. And they're on the road in the median, in the middle of the highway, cleaning. In that dark, some of them don't have on reflector vests, but at the same time, most of them do. And you barely see them, because it's almost pitch dark, and they are there on a morning doing that work. on the nation's highways. I don't know if you all ever see. I see them on the east-west corridor all the time. You know,
And you know the lighting on that highway ain't good at all.
it's not good. It's
It
not.
seems to be getting worse, like we're not doing any kind of maintenance on it. Where
Yeah.
that's concerned.
You know what alerts me most times to the fact that they're there? You see their cars parked up at the side of the road. So you know that there are workmen around. So you have to look out for them on the median. They're in the middle of the road or the highway. In that median there, most times that's where they are doing cleaning and so on. I always admire them. Especially to have the dedication to get up that hour in the morning to come out to work. That can't be easy.
Yeah, well, I say when it becomes your job, it becomes your livelihood. Trust me, you're getting up anyhow, yes?
True, eh? So true. Yeah. So true.
Yeah,
so true.
when that becomes the bread basket, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta get.
I think that probably with Ministry of Works, Highways Division or something, you know. But for years I've been seeing them, you know. And sometimes you see a lot. But anyway, let me get my birthday greetings out of the way. I have a very weird birthday today, guys. I don't know the person.
A weird birthday, you say?
Yeah. Anne Joseph today, she's celebrating her birthday today. Alison Castillo, Shemi Williams, Crystal Sinclair Lynn. Remember her, Sir Charles?
Of course.
Yeah, Crystal from Radio Vision.
Yes, thanks for telling me. I'll have to send a message to Chrissy, a wonderful human being.
Yes, she is. She is. She is celebrating her birthday today.
And very quiet. And very quiet.
Yeah, very quiet. Someone who goes by the name Kenson Candelas King. Now, I don't know this person, right? I don't know the name. Kenson Candelas King. That's the person's name.
Kenson.
Now, Kenson Candelas King. And I'll tell you what's weird about this situation, right? When I click on the name, there's somebody he went to QRC, but he also has 4 friends in common with me. And guess who the 4 friends are?
Richard Ragobarsing.
Correct.
Stephen Harper.
No. So stop right there because you ain't gonna get the rest.
Nah.
You know who the 4 friends he has in common with me? Richard Ragobarsing, Charles A. Davis, Paul G. Richards, and Corey Pascal. When I click on the guy, that's who the 4 friends who come up that he has in common with me. I said, no, man, but I don't know this person at all.
And I almost called the president there, though. Yeah.
Those are the 4 names that come up as he has in common with me. So I guess you all know him.
What's his name? Kenson what? Kenson Candelas or what?
Candelas King. His name is Kenson King. I guess Candelas is just like his AKA, right? But Kenson King. And he has a lot of FET promoting on his page and all kind of thing. A particular FET he had promoting called Coolers, the line in Poolside. Kings and Friends. So that is his FET. That was a breakfast FET. But look at the 4 friends we have in common. Stranger.
And only those 4, yeah. Imagine that.
Only those 4. I don't know the person at all. He must have been a poor 1 or 2 person. A fan, and he probably, because I don't refuse friend requests most times. I just click and say yes. I just take anybody as friend. And if they get out of hand and start to inbox me, I delete them.
Yeah, well, that is the same thing with me because, like, I have real friends. I have 2 accounts, and sometimes people ask me, "Is a friend?" I say, "Okay, cool."
Yeah, I have lots of friends on Facebook I don't know personally. I get people saying, I get also things saying, somebody accept my friend request. I don't send friend requests. You understand? I don't, but I get sometimes people saying they accept my friend requests. That causes a big furor between me and somebody at a time. You understand? Because I don't send friend requests. You know?
Yeah.
But I accept all, you know? People send me and I accept it without even thinking twice who it is, you know?
Yeah. That's it. I receive it once there's space, so much so that they tell me they're one request that after the elite to accept anybody else and all kind of thing. I just leave it there. So that's the end of that one, yes?
Yeah, I don't think I've reached my 5,000 yet. I have endless requests to unconfirm, and I get repeat requests. Like one person would send for 10 different requests with 10 different accounts. I said, what the hell is going on here? So most times I don't confirm those because I realize it's the same name coming up over and over and over under a different picture, you know. But I generally don't discriminate as to who I have as friends. I don't. Morning, Richard. You know Kenson King?
Kenson King. I guess. Name sounds familiar.
All right. Well, I don't know him. But his birthday is today, and the 4 friends we have in common is you, Charles, Paul, and Corey.
Oh, okay.
It was
that has to be somebody from our previous iteration.
Yes, that's what I was saying. It's a power 1 or 2 person. That's
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, he must be coming, Sir Charles, and think, show and sing already, you know? And they must be
everybody went on that show.
You're good boy, you're real good.
Yeah.
But everybody went on that show. I don't know when the hell. I don't know if they sang, but they went on the show.
They did something. But them would all, Charles and Corey would also say, oh, yeah, my bell big in there, boy, you're real.
That was a Mama Guy duo. They used to call them the MD, the Mama Guy duo.
Everybody them had like,
that's a good song.
yes.
Every song is a good song, like every idea is a good idea.
In the middle of the day, the Mama Guy people live at lunch. Oh, geez. Anyway, those are my greetings for the morning, guys. I hope you all have an absolutely wonderful day. We have as guest today, Minister of Planning, Economic Development, and something else. Kennedy Swaratsingh, Minister Dr. Kennedy Swaratsingh. He will be our guest in the second hour. You don't want to miss it. All right.
All right. So what? We can do good news?
Well, Richard, I don't know if Richard has some good news.
But I'm just going to say good morning to everybody. But you can go ahead with good news.
Okay.
Sex is not love. Dating is not love. Talking to someone 24 hours a day, 7 days a week is not love. Staying up all night for someone is not love. Love is when someone sees the parts of you that you try to hide. The fears, the anger, the exhaustion, and still chooses to stay. It's when someone gives you emotional safety when your mind is at war with itself. It's when someone becomes your calm amidst the chaos, your anchor in the storm. Love is someone who speaks to you when you're overwhelmed, reminding you of your worth when you can't remember it yourself. Love is standing by you while you heal, without trying to fix you. It's when someone understands the silence behind your "I'm fine" and provides the comfort you don't always know how to ask for. Love is loyalty that doesn't require validation. Faithfulness that holds strong even when you're apart. It's someone who protects your vulnerabilities, makes joy feel like healing, and still chooses you when your heart is to love. Real love is steady, patient, and safe. Share this with that special person, my friend.
Well, the one message I got from that is that no one has ever loved me. That's the message I get from that.
Well, I thought I was in love too.
I think I love people, but I don't think anybody loved me. I just realized that.
Oh.
And Richard?
I can't tell you,
I don't think anybody loved me.
I can't believe it.
My God.
Me going on that
again.
I'm not going on that road because Jenny will say, oh, I put it in. You'll say, oh, I put it in a play.
You put everything else in a play already. I didn't see much of me in this one, but I know you thought about me, and I know one of these nights you will call me name. But no, you need to play that again. I've never been loved.
Sex is not love. Dating is not love. Talking to someone 24 hours a day, 7 days a week is not love. Staying up all night for someone is not love. Love is when someone sees the parts of you that you try to hide. The fears, the anger, the exhaustion, and still chooses to stay. It's when someone gives you emotional safety when your mind is at war with itself. It's when someone becomes your calm amidst the chaos, your anchor in the storm. Love is someone who speaks to you when you're overwhelmed, reminding you of your worth when you can't remember it yourself. Love is standing by you while you heal, without trying to fix you. It's when someone understands the silence behind your "I'm fine" and provides the comfort you don't always know how to ask for. Love is loyalty that doesn't require validation. Faithfulness that holds strong even when you're apart. It's someone who protects your vulnerabilities, makes joy feel like healing, and still chooses you when your heart is to love. Real love is steady, patient, and safe. Share this with that special person, my friend.
Well, that's it. Sorry, I've never been loved.
And young people, if you have never been loved, at least now you know what you need to do that you could give love. So if you have not been given love, you could probably do some of those things. You know, show up for somebody, listen to them, be there for them, genuinely. Show your appreciation of those individuals. Cherish them.
That video making me feel to cry. It just woke up a wave of emotions in me. My God. Anyway, let me go to the chat.
Yeah. Maybe you find some people who know to love down there.
Yeah. I'm sure the people who are on this show love us, and we love them. We find out just now. Victor Tongs, good morning. Also, Eunice Dublin came in at 1:58. Margaret Thomas, Robert Allen is up early. Udell Guy, good morning from Sangre Grande. Erica Charles. Ava Smith also says she's locked on. Manuela Peters, happy 13th birthday to her granddaughter, Manuela Simon, out there in Virginia. All right, so happy birthday, Manuela, coming from your granny.
Happy birthday, yeah.
From your granny, Manuela, and of course from us on the Breakfast Show. Apollina says, good morning, it's hump day. Marlon Motley also says, happy hump day.
Good morning, Marlon.
Pamela O'Connor, blessed morning. Diane, blessed morning, guys. Robert Taylor in Fernandina Beach. Carl Guevara in Chaguanas. Arlene Lewis also says good morning. Doreen Pierre. Prabha Ramdial. Ozzy Molino. Boy Bidesi from Debe. Sherwin and Juliet Kerr. Have a wonderful Wednesday. Nicola McNichols. Joyce Phillip. Marlene Saunders Sobers. Don't forget. Blessed day to the Breakfast Crew and our listeners. Don't forget. Well, not to forget, Marlene.
I wonder what is that?
Maybe don't forget I love you all. Maybe that's what you're trying to say. Gavin Frank says, good morning. Trini Merle Kitchen in Oshawa, Ontario. Hilary Zahn up early this morning. Felix Kazo, happy hump day. Debbie Modest. Alistair Hart from San Fernando. Ingrid from Tucson, Arizona. Trinidad Margot from Florida. Bernadette and Nelicia Yates. Sankofa is up early. Dave Gosain. Mrs. R, Kathy Ann Charles and Arlene in Bronxville. The Slimy Show. Who went to QRC? Apparently Kenson King did. The Slimy Show, you're back. Valerie Mendoza. Good morning to the breakfast team. James Kamau, Grand Rising. Michael Robinson in Yokohama, Japan. I've started the process, Manish, all right? Just letting you know that. I'll contact you soon enough. Cheryl Maraj, good morning, everyone. Sankofa says, Wassa water for the hill of St. Augustine. We have no water since in the rainy season. The delivered truck born once the water delivered was so bad. I used it so bad in my Sankofa, I couldn't use it. All right. Deborah Noel Serret, good morning, everyone. Julia Samantha, Ambrose Blah out there in New York. Nicola McNichol said, I love this. So true. That is true love. Yeah, it is. Except that I've never received it.
Yeah, it's where to find it.
It's Richard Face. Yeah, I saw it. Richard probably reminiscing on his days too. Alistair Hardwendell is the same as how many men get flowers when they're alive. Margarita Chow, good morning. David McCarthy, top of the day. Deborah Noel Surratt agrees. Sankofa, Richard, can you put up the links to these great clips, please?
Oh, that's Sir Charles, sir.
Yeah, you could get them from Sir Charles. Michael Robinson laughing. Chris Tussey, Grand Rising, gentlemen, and no smart comment from him this morning. Shema Paul, good morning, guys. Blessed day to you all. That's all the greetings on the chat, Sir Charles.
All right, excellent. So let me say good morning to Archbishop Ashton Clark. He was in very early this morning. Right, to Jennifer Cox, good morning to you. Also to Robert Allen, good morning. We have Brenda out there in Penal, Frank in Aruka, Kenwin Henry down in Dego Martin, Kent in Laventel, Zena in Arima, Terry Ann Peters in Mova, Chris A. Tussey out of Trinidad, Rena Buno Janice, good morning, Shabin in New York, Peter Wilson, good morning, and of course, Mr. Beeps, who's just getting in. Good morning to all you people. Thank you very much for being here on the net. Stay with us, and we are going for that break, and we will be back.
S&H Rumbox, 137 Western Main Road, St. James, for all your retail and wholesale needs for alcohol and non-alcoholic beverages. Call us at 686-0599 or visit us at 137 Western Main Road, St. James. S&H Rumbox, drinking out of the box.
Save more now at Furniture Plus. Get a pair of pillows for only $49, queen mattresses from $7.99, free gifts with select purchases, plus extra discounts on higher purchase plans. Hurry, visit any Furniture Plus showroom today.
By public demand. Yeah, by public demand. The first play of 2026, Scandal in Cedros continues by public demand. Extended for a further 2 nights only on Saturday, March 7th at 8:30 p.m. and Sunday 8th at 6:30 p.m. at the Central Bank Auditorium. It's a bacchanal. Don't miss it. Scandal in Cedros extended by public demand for a further 2 nights at the Central Bank Auditorium. Tickets available at usual outlets and at the Central Bank Auditorium box office. Don't miss it.
Scandal in Cedros.
Advertise with us on New Era TT Radio, the fastest growing streaming platform for talk in Trinidad and Tobago. Audio and video ads welcome. Elevate your brand with us. Connect with us at newerattradio@yahoo.com or call us at 299-5156. Now what are you waiting for?
Let me just also greet some other folks who came on. CJ from New York, Ron DeSantis Jr., Scorpion Pepper, Colted Finch, Boy Bidese from Davie, and Pamela Grimshaw. They have all joined us since greeting people. All right, so I guess we could go straight into the newspapers today. Today, of course, is Wednesday, March 4th. And the headline in today's Express reads, I had no choice. PM defends state of emergency, says tough decisions necessary to eradicate gang threats. That will form the basis of our poll this morning. PNE government abusing power. Those are all stories on the inside. And there's a picture of Attorney General John Jeremy flanked by Minister of Homeland Security Roger Alexander and Minister of Justice Devesh Maharaj. All right. Also on the front page, a Rima businessman shot dead, and we spoke about that yesterday. The owner of Shock and Stock stationery in Shops of Rima, Azad Puran, was shot dead Monday night, I think. All right. In the inside, in stories, PM vows fearless fight against crime, no surrender. AG SOE needed amid gang threats. Penny government abusing power with new SOE. Ghani, that's Dr. Hamid Ghani, says it can run until September, and there are sweeping powers in the new regulations, which I'll read a bit of that in the this morning. Don't abandon Zoso, so says Dr. Randy Sipasad. Vera, I am not persuaded. That's Independent Senator Vera, and Independent Senator McNish had something to say also. In the back, 9 former murder accused to get $20 million. And of course, that's in the Vindra Naipaul Kuhlman case. They're each to receive $2.something million each for that case that just collapsed. Outstanding payments, youth tutor tells Tanko, granddad dies in Barpo blaze. And in sport, of course, Sri Lanka women win the T20 series over West Indies, and Press Sando closing on SSCL title. All right, those are all things happening in today's Express.
Trinidad and Tobago Guardian for this morning. SOE red flag opposition raises concern about freedom of expression under emergency regulations. PM defense second state of emergency. Independent senators divided on SOE reintroduction. And what the new state of emergency regulations mean for you, and stakeholders warn against normalizing emergency rule. And basically that's it. That's the main stories if you wanted to encapsulate it. Those are the main stories in the Trinidad and Tobago Guardian for this morning. Yeah, I know some of the independent senators raised issues, and I know Michael DeLavis, State Senior Counsel, also raised the issue that he suggested that there could be a constitutional challenge to it, which is what I raised yesterday.
You did.
That you can't break after a last state of emergency for a short time and then call another state of emergency. Well, you can. It's uncharted territory. And first of all, I know first of all, you know what was the interesting thing about it was like constitutional issues. And I ponder on them in the few moments that I have of free time. I think about it sometimes, and I'm saying the president has the power to have refused that state of emergency. I don't know that the president is of that ilk to stand up. President Kangaloo doesn't necessarily project to me that she will take that kind of stance. And I know she says she was satisfied, but you are also a lawyer, President Kangaloo, and you must, to me as a lawyer, it rang. But are you trying to get away from the 3/5 majority required after the end of a 2-3 month extensions, because you need 3/5 of both houses at that point? And is that what the Constitution intended? That you break for a short period and bring back a state of emergency again? I don't think it does. I don't think that's what the framers of the Constitution intended. That you could just keep calling states of emergency break, like you're a contract worker somewhere and you had to break your service so you don't get permanent, and then come back again with a state of emergency. I know people on different sides of the fence will have whatever their opinions are. This is mine, and I don't think that's appropriate in terms of constitutional regulations. So, in my personal opinion, the President Kangaloo should have been a little bit more circumspect That's just me. She could be upset about what I said. That's just what I think. And I know she said she was satisfied with I saw some articles saying that she was satisfied. Now, let's go down the road that if she refused it, what happens? Because that's never happened. So it becomes a constitutional issue, and obviously the government will be upset, and they may try to impeach or remove the sitting president, which will require a whole process that eventually culminates with 2/3 of both houses sitting together having to vote in favor, which is like 48 votes you would need. And of course, the UNC would have like 42. If you added to Tobago, they would have 44. So they would still need 4 votes, either from the independent bench or the government, in terms of removing the president. But maybe President Kangaroo felt, obviously, you have to go on what people say.
You didn't want to be embroiled in anything.
No, I can't say that. I have to go on what she said. She said she was satisfied with what evidence was presented to her. But I've just felt, as an attorney, I don't know how much she would have looked at the issue of that break and coming back again. Because those kinds of loopholes or those kinds of little spaces in the law, you can take advantage of, and I always find those kinds of things should go to court. You could fail. Like even if there was a constitutional challenge to raise those issues, I still think it's important. Even if you fail, because it's about having those issues ventilated in terms of a constitutional democracy. But the PNM from their press conference yesterday didn't seem very much inclined to go that road. They were just kind of reciting what we already knew in terms of the regulations that would have gone out in the social media. So they were reciting, oh my God, look, this is an autocratic government and this is what is happening, which means what? People's National Movement. Which means
and you know why,
what?
Richard? You know why? At least this is my opinion. Why? Because in their last few months in office, after resisting it for almost 10 years, they decided that they were going to do that too. That's why, they've been compromised now. You understand? Because that was the way that the PNM, that was the step that the PNM also took belatedly at the end of their term. So to say now, this is not the way to go. After, and all of a sudden yesterday, everybody started to share what Kamla Prasad Bisesa said when the PNM called it. But it doesn't matter now. You did it anyway. You understand? So that at least that's my interpretation of how the PNM is reacting to what's happening now. I think they're being outfoxed by this, and I think
you know what it may be an unfair mirror image, but it reminds me of how Republicans in the United States take advantage of any loophole in the law to achieve what they want to achieve. And I can't fault the UNC for doing that, because the ultimate end game of any political party is to remain in power as long as possible, right?
Yes.
And if you can solve the crime problem in Trinidad and Tobago, or make a huge dent in solving the crime problem in Trinidad and Tobago, the odds are that you will be in power for a long time. That's the prize. So I can't fault the UNC or the Prime Minister for saying, let's call another SOE. I think I can do it after a month's break, and nobody's going to challenge it. The lawyer in me wants people to challenge it, because I want to see the constitutional arguments and on where it goes, and because I find all of that interesting. But the PNM didn't give me that sense that they were interested. The only person that articulated that they felt that it could be a constitutional challenge was Michael Delano, State Senior Counsel. Certainly not all of the lawyers in the PNM. Nobody said anything wrong.
And there are several.
They were just reciting what they felt were the onerous regulations with regard to freedom of speech, etc., etc. So
Again, I think it's because the PNM did it. That's coming to the end of the term, which is why there's very little argument that they could use against it right now. You understand? That's my
argument against it, Wendell. I just gave a whole comprehensive argument.
No, you could give arguments. I'm thinking about the PNM as a party.
No, the PNM could still take that position. That why would you break for a month and then re-establish a state of emergency? Then it means it suggests that you're trying to bypass the 3/5 majority required for further extension.
But it is suggested. That's exactly what they did.
Yeah, well, what I'm saying is the People's National Movement, did they articulate that point? I don't even know.
I didn't hear that. I don't
even know if they said it. I know Michael Delabassi said it.
Yeah.
But
let me read some of the restrictions under this state of emergency. And these things may surprise you all. So the government has published the Emergency Powers Regulation 2026, setting out sweeping powers that will apply for the duration of the current state of emergency. The regulations, legal notice 40 made by the President under Section 7 of the Constitution, outline expanded authority for law enforcement, restrictions on certain freedoms, and the creation of offenses carrying severe penalties. Here are some of the aspects. Expanded powers for the police. Well, listen to this good, eh? During the emergency period, police officers have significantly broader authority, including stop and search powers. Officers may stop and search individuals in public places if they reasonably suspect possession of weapons, ammunition, explosives, or prohibited items. Search without a warrant. Police may enter and search premises, vehicles, vessels, or individuals without a warrant if they suspect evidence of certain offenses. If they suspect search warrant without a warrant. No, arrest now without a warrant. Officers may arrest anyone suspected of acting in a way that threatens public safety. So if they feel that we on this radio, and I want to use us as an example. If they feel we on this radio station, right, threatening public safety, right, we could be arrested if we acting in any way. In other words, if I say the TTP is hopeless, and that could be interpreted as threatening public safety, I could be arrested. Right? That's basically it, Let me continue to read. Detention. A person may be held up for 48 hours and for up to 7 days with the approval of a senior police officer or a magistrate. No bail in certain cases. Bail is restricted for detainees, and habeas corpus applications are suspended for persons denied bail under the regulations. Police may also impose curfews on individuals. That is also in a way. Restrict where a person may live, work, travel, or with whom they may associate. Listen to this thing. Require individuals to report their movements, or order individuals to leave or stay away from specific areas. Failure to comply with these directives constitute an offense. The regulations made it an offense to possess weapons, ammunition, or explosives without lawful authority. Now, that was always the law, right? Prohibited items linked to prisons, including items intended to be smuggled to prisoners. So if they find you with cell phones, they might think you're going to smuggle that to any prison, right? They could arrest you for that. Anyone found consorting with a person illegally carrying weapons in suspicious circumstances. Let me go on. Protected places. The regulations state that the Commissioner of Police may designate certain locations as protected places. No one may enter these locations without authorization. Police may search anyone entering or present at the location, remove individuals who fail to comply with directions. This is basically Zoso, people. Restrictions on public statements. This is the one all you need to listen to. The regulations further state that it is an offense to influence public opinion in a manner likely to be prejudiced to public safety. Let me read that again. Influence public opinion in a manner likely to be prejudicial to public safety. Possess or distribute material intended to facilitate such action. That's almost like the camera footage where they say you have to send it to the police first before you share it publicly. That's covering that. That's my interpretation. Richard, you could correct me, right? Drivers must stop when directed to do so by a uniformed police officer. My question there is, if a police officer is not in uniform, what happens? Which is very likely that a police officer...
But I know that's the law now, if you're stopped by a uniform police officer.
Yeah. So, but my question there is, if you're not uniform, because it's specifically saying by a uniformed police officer, right? The defense force may also be called upon to assist the police service. When deployed, soldiers will have the same powers as police officers under the regulations.
That's normal in a sense.
It is. The regulations introduce preventive detention powers. The Minister of National Security may order the detention of a person, including a prisoner, if satisfied it is necessary to prevent actions deemed prejudicial to public safety. Now, that's very broad. That's very broad. So the Minister of National Security could do like what you say. If you call him, how people just describe him on social media and things, he could do like that and have you detained there. Where are we going with this place? Where are we going with Trinidad and Tobago, boy?
But also something that you mentioned also, where the curfew, where the police, they say the police could institute a curfew on you.
Yeah.
Any police officer, because it didn't say the commissioner of police, it didn't say the national security, it said a police.
Yeah, police may also impose curfews on individuals.
Yeah.
Restrict where a person may live, work, travel, or with whom they may associate. What is that?
Yeah. And we don't know about this. Because we in the... Be careful, I said.
So everybody now ought to be on the P's and Q's and what they do and what they post.
Well, I assume a lot of those regulations. Well, I can't assume now. You have to take the regulations on the face of it as to what it says and what the intention is for the state of emergency. Now, they said it's to deal with a resurgence of gang violence or something like that, a version of that. So I don't know if some of those curfew things is specifically targeting that, but it seems to be a bit broad. So we'll see.
Yeah. Guys, I want to interrupt you all for a minute. Let's do our Did You Know segment. And if you are a driver, you need to watch this one, right? Yeah.
Hi, I'm Motor Vehicle Supervisor 1 Juan Castellano, attached to the Licensing Division in Tobago. It is our responsibilities as transport officers to try and ensure the proper use of the roadway as it pertains to signs. Today we'll be looking at the proper and improper use of the crosswalk. So let us look at some scenarios and I will explain them as we go along. Here we see the driver is stopping right abreast the crosswalk. The pedestrian comes out of the vehicle and crosses immediately in front of the vehicle, not allowing time or visual distance for the driver that's coming in the same lane to be able to stop safely and properly. That's making a safe space as a crosswalk becoming a place that is dangerous.
What are you doing here?
The next scenario is sometimes we have indiscriminate parking by crosswalk where one vehicle parks immediately before and one immediately after. So when the pedestrian is crossing, there's a tunnel that is formed and both the lanes, immediate and opposite, finds it difficult to see the pedestrians as they cross, making the crosswalk a dangerous place. And the next scenario will be how to properly use the crosswalk. So let's look at that. In this scenario, you are seeing the driver cross over, passes the crosswalk, stops a safe distance, approximately 15 feet thereabout, allows the passengers to come out and cross behind the vehicle. That way, the oncoming driver on the lane in which the pedestrian is starting to cross can see them, and the opposite lane has a proper visual as well. That's a safe way to utilize the crosswalk. So now we are looking at how to improperly use the sidewalk. The parent is holding the child, but the child is on the side of the roadway. If this is an infant, he can easily let go of the parent's hand and immediately is in danger on the roadway. But when it's done this way, the child is on the inside and away from the roadway. That is the safe way to use the sidewalk. The parent can properly protect his or her child. So I trust, having seen these videos, that road safety becomes paramount in our minds, and that we carefully look at how we use the sidewalk and the crosswalk. So remember, road safety is our business.
Very well done.
Mm-hmm.
Very well put together by the Division of Infrastructure in Tobago. Very well put together.
Yeah, and when I saw that, I remember the conversation that we were having. I know Wendell had a big peeve with it, and especially how I think this should be distributed to every maxi taxi driver as to how they let off passengers, or they pass the crosswalk, go up a few feet, and let the passenger come out behind the maxis.
And go behind and cross. Yeah. It's a safe way to do it. I mean, for years we've been talking this talk, and well, it's the first time I've seen a video like that. I don't know that the Ministry of Works and Transport ever produced a video like that before. Maybe they did, but I haven't seen it. You know what I mean? And they clearly never pushed it. And I hope this video is pushed. And people.
It's like it's not connected. It's not the same thing. But it's like the transit hub that obviously Tobago built. You saw the transit hub.
Yes.
Yeah. That's how versions of that is how all bus stops should be, in my opinion. You know.
Yeah, that's an excellent video. Anyway, so the Prime Minister is saying that she had no choice but to call another SOE because the criminals just wouldn't behave. You know, and so our poll this morning will be based on that. Do you think that the criminals will behave now that another state of emergency has been called? Because if the criminals didn't behave when the SOE ended and the police didn't act upon it, I don't know what you're hoping for now.
Well, I suppose the fundamental question is, does the state of emergency make the TTPS more competent? Because ultimately, you want more competence in reducing crime. And you're using the SOE as a tool to accomplish more competence in dealing with crime.
Yeah.
I think everybody, and I'm giving people this advice free this morning. If you feel, well, you should anyway, whether you feel you have reason to or not, install cameras at your home. Install cameras inside of your home and business places. Please do it. If you could get a body camera, because I don't think there's a law against anybody wearing a body camera, right? But there are several different types of cameras that you can have on you. Get one and wear it. Install dash cams in your car, dash cams that could do 360 filming. Do that. I wouldn't take any chance with what's going on in this place now. Honestly, I wouldn't.
Well, let's see if we can take a couple calls as we go up to 7 o'clock. 2811315 and 2995156. Caller, good morning to you.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
You, Mr. Stevens and Mr. Raghubasing, especially you, Mr. Stevens, all the things that you read is the reason why there should be a constitutional challenge. I am firmly in the school with Mr. Raghubasing, because hear what I'm saying, right? The difference between what the PNM did and what they are doing, this is the fourth extension. The PNM didn't have an extension. And as you quite correctly identified, the regulations have imported the provisions of the ZOSO bill into the SOE. And that is why it is illegal. And that is why it is ultra virus the Constitution. Because what they are doing is bringing into action what was rejected in law by the process of Parliament. And if you are a government who came in and said that you will respect the law because the Prime Minister swore on the Constitution, so don't forget that she is the only MP who swore on the Constitution. And what they have done is trample over the Constitution, and that is because of the ambiguity of the language in the particular section 9, which says state of emergency from time to time. You see that wording? But it's quite clear. Once you have called it for a certain number of times, you need to have the fifth endorsement of both houses of Parliament for it to continue. Whether it's 3 months, 14 days, or whatever. And having not done that, it is fertile grounds for the court to adjudicate on it. And if they go to court, the court, in following the strict letter of the law and legal interpretation, Mr. Raghubasing is going down that road, they should be stopped, because we must be a society of laws. And if all these lawyers in the UNC and the PNM can't see that, then that is where we are totally headed towards anarchy. Thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah.
Thanks.
That caller raised something that I didn't even look at before. He must be a lawyer too. You understand? Bringing the elements that were rejected into this thing.
Yeah. But when you're reading it, you picking that up, that it's part, a lot of what they try to do in the ZOSO is now under the regulations of this state of emergency. You picked it up. It was obvious.
Thank you very much, caller. Caller, good morning to you.
Good morning. It's just a backdoor to the ZOSO. That's all it was. I wanted, Brendan, he brought up something that was on my mind. You know, when things happen on Friday, sometimes it does upset you, but you don't get it to vent it until Monday, and then by Monday you slip here. That venture that Tobago did with that bus terminus, I am so upset about that. Not at every part, because after my first trip to Dubai, I recognized that we could do better by how they build bus terminus in Trinidad and Tobago. I always found that we a similarly hot climate, our bus terminus should be air conditioned, similar to what they did. But you see the 4 TVs in it, I have a problem with that. Right?
Maybe it's a long way to that bus stop.
Pardon me? It is a long way, so everybody got their own TV to watch.
Yeah, the bus coming from Castara coming down the
road. First of all, gentlemen, everybody have a smartphone in the house. Everybody, whatever you have to watch, you can watch it on your phone. There's no need to provide temptation for the little unemployed young man or young woman out there to break the glass running and pilfer
They have TVs in airport waiting areas.
Airport lounges. When you try to compare apples and oranges, when the airport lounges have 24-hour security. We're talking about a bus terminus.
Yeah, but the bus terminus may also have cameras in it linked.
Because the bus terminus have for security too. We're talking about a bus shed.
The transit hub, which is the correct name, probably has cameras in it, 1. And 2, maybe the televisions are also from time to time to give you the schedule. Bus will arrive in 10 minutes. Whatever it is.
Wendell, I understand that. You don't need 4.
Okay.
They have 4 televisions in the bus shed.
Well, maybe
What are we doing?
Maybe the rest mightn't have 4, but
With our glass bus shed, I have no problem with the bus shed being air conditioned. I have no problem with the 10 chairs that you put in the bus shed. We all know how much people that be standing but waiting for a bus. But you put 10 chairs, fine. I ain't have no problem with that. My problem is the wasted squander of money that you put in 4 monitors in a bus shed. I don't know if it's in a secure area, but I assume it's a bus shed on the side of the road. My point about it is that we already don't have enough mobile police patrol to be patrolling this area. I'm assuming now that you have to hire somebody now to come and lock this bus shed when the buses stop running and open it back up in the morning. Who wake up late and the bus shed is open on time?
Yeah.
Who forget and the bus shed never close on time? And somebody just walk in and thief we wake up in the morning, all the monitors gone, the ACT out. I just find it is a potential to be a criminal.
The Tobagonians are better behaved than us, eh? So let's give them
So do nothing because you think they'll be vandalized.
Yeah, let's wait and see. Let's give it the benefit of the doubt. I have no problem with that.
Yeah, futuristic, man. They bring the stuff.
You go in any London, you go in any area to wait for a bus. You get screens, you get information, and trust me, that bus on time, eh? You know, so you have to trust people sometimes. I mean, if it doesn't, because I remember the big furor when a mayor had put a television set in Woodford Square. You understand? They steal the first one, but they put back the other one with a cage around it. I don't know if it's working. I don't know if it still have one there. But sometimes you have to try something modern, you know? Yeah. There's a problem with that. But our poll is up already, people. Do you think criminal gangs will behave themselves due to the state of emergency? Yes or no? Because that's the main aim at the end of the day, right?
Yeah.
For the gangs to behave themselves, right? For people to behave themselves and stop the killing, right? So, state of emergency has been called again. Do you think criminal gangs will now behave themselves?
All right, so vote on the poll. We are going for the news and we will come back after that.
And our guest.
The news you need, the clarity you deserve. Local, regional, global. This is Net Radio News Now.
This is News Now on New Era TT Radio, Net Radio, and Gael Caribbean TV for Wednesday, the 4th of March. I'm Derek McMillan. Thanks for joining us. The Judicial Committee of the Privy Council has refused the state's final bid to challenge a near $20 million award to 9 men once accused of murdering Vindra Naipal Kulman. The London-based court declined special leave to appeal, effectively upholding a default judgment first entered in the High Court and later reinstated by the Court of Appeal of Trinidad and Tobago. The men were charged in 2007 and spent about 10 years on remand before being acquitted in 2016. They later filed a civil claim for malicious prosecution after the state failed to file a defense. Damages were assessed at just under $20 million. With the ruling from the Judicial Committee of the Privy Council, the award can no longer be challenged. Trinidad and Tobago is once again under a state of emergency. Prime Minister Kamla Persad Bissessar announced that President Christine Kangaloo declared the measure effective Monday, March 3rd, following advice from the National Security Council. The announcement comes weeks after the previous state of emergency ended on January 31st. The Prime Minister said security briefings pointed to an increase in violent crime linked to organized gangs, including recent mass shootings and threats of reprisal attacks. Officials also reported intelligence of planned attacks on police, prison officers, and members of the legal services. Government says the measure is aimed at preventing further escalation. Details of the regulations are expected in the coming days. The Tobago House of Assembly says the island remains safe following the state of emergency declaration. In a media release, the THA referenced the reasons outlined by Prime Minister Kamla Persad Bissessar, but stated that Tobago continues to record low levels of serious and organized crime. It said law enforcement and national security partners have found no evidence of escalating gang activity or coordinated crime on the island. The THA added it remains in active communication with the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service to ensure measures in Tobago are proportionate and intelligence-led. Residents and visitors are being encouraged to continue normal activities while remaining vigilant. Tobago has recorded 1 murder so far this year. The Communication Workers Union is cautioning government against using the current state of emergency to restrict constitutional rights. In a statement, the union said, while it supports firm action to combat crime, emergency powers must not be used to curtail peaceful protest or democratic expression. It emphasized that freedoms of movement, assembly, and expression remain protected under the Constitution, and called on government to outline clear objectives, safeguards, and timelines for the measure. Meanwhile, Chief Personnel Officer Daryl Dindial confirmed that a 5% salary and cost of living allowance offer made before the 2025 elections remains in place. He met with the fire service associations to address concerns including salary negotiations and allowances, and committed to continued discussions. A 60-year-old Barrackpore man has died after his home was destroyed by fire on Sunday. Police say Bachchan Samlal of Sandhill Trace was inside the 10 by 14-foot structure when it became engulfed in flames around 5:20 p.m. His ex-common-law wife Shirley Rampersad reported the fire after spotting the blaze nearby. The house, valued at $40,000, was completely destroyed. Samlal's burnt remains were later found in the rubble. In a separate incident, 76-year-old Johnson Fillmore narrowly escaped a house fire at John Gully Trace following a domestic dispute late Sunday night. One relative sustained serious burns and was taken to hospital. Fire officers extinguished the blaze, and police are investigating. In international news, European allies are deploying military assets to Cyprus after a British airbase on the island was struck over the weekend, amid escalating tensions following U.S.-Israeli strikes on Iran. The United Kingdom is sending helicopters with counter-drone systems and the Type 45 destroyer HMS Dragon. French President Emmanuel Macron confirmed a French frigate will also be deployed, while Greece is sending F-16 fighter jets and 2 frigates. Britain's defense ministry said RAF jets have intercepted an Iranian drone over Jordan. Cyprus has stated it is not involved in the conflict and is not a target, as efforts continue to prevent further drone incursions. And that is news at this hour.
That was News Now. Stay informed with New Era TT Radio, Net Radio.
Your mid-morning just got better. Join Sir Charles for the mid-morning mix and mingle, where good music, real talk, health, and family matters come together, and your voice is heard. Whether you're at work, on the go, or just taking a break, this is the perfect mix to keep you engaged, informed, and entertained. The mid-morning mix and mingle, weekdays, 9 a.m. to 12 noon on New Era TT Radio, Net Radio.
Morning vibes, fresh energy. This is the Net Radio Breakfast Show.
Oh
locked into Net Radio Breakfast Show, fueling your day with the best music and real talk.
And of course, we welcome you to the second hour of the Breakfast Show right here on New Era TT Radio, Net Radio, and of course, Gael Caribbean TV. Good morning to the folks and Gael, and of course, thank you all for being here with us. Let me say much thanks to those that came in very early this morning, and of course, all those who are coming in along the way. Thank you so much for making us your choice. Beautiful day it is, right? So just so that you know that when we come off of the Gael feed at around 8:30, remember you can stay with us on newerattradio.com. New Era TT Radio. Put it in your browser. You get us on TuneIn. Yeah, that way you get us on all of your Alexa and Google devices. And to all the folks who are streaming on our social media platforms, YouTube and Facebook, good morning to you. Remember, while you're on the platforms, like, subscribe, follow, and on all of the platforms there is a support button. Hit that support button, all right? So continue to vote on the poll, yes or no. Yeah. Do you think that criminals will now behave themselves with this SOE that is in place again? So you're voting yes or no, and when we come back, we'll tell you how you voted. And of course, we also have a guest for you on the other side of the poll. So stay with us this morning here on Net Radio.
By public demand. Yeah, by public demand. The first play of 2026, Scandal in Cedros, continues by public demand. Extended for a further 2 nights only on Saturday, March 7th at 8:30 p.m. and Sunday 8th at 6:30 p.m. at the Central Bank Auditorium. It's a bacchanal. Don't miss it. Scandal in Cedros, extended by public demand for a further 2 nights at the Central Bank Auditorium. Tickets available at usual outlets and at the Central Bank Auditorium box office. Don't miss it.
Scandal in Cedros. Save more now at Furniture Plus. Get a pair of pillows for only $49, queen mattresses from $7.99, free gifts with select purchases, plus extra discounts on higher purchase plans. Hurry, visit any Furniture Plus showroom today.
S&H Rumbox, 137 Western Main Road, St. James, for all your retail and wholesale needs for alcohol and non-alcoholic beverages. Call us at 686-0599 or visit us at 137 Western Main Road, St. James. S&H Rumbox, drinking out of the box.
Advertise with us on New Era TT Radio, the fastest growing streaming platform for talk in Trinidad and Tobago. Audio and video ads welcome. Elevate your brand with us. Connect with us at newerattradio@yahoo.com or call us at 299-5156. Now what are you waiting for?
All right, so we are back inside of the second hour, and yes, it's good to have you all. Yeah, Wendell, you got your coffee?
Yeah. I had an early cup today. I understand our guest is already in the green room.
Yes.
Minister Swaratsingh is one of those people who like to be early, extra early.
Yes, always on time.
So I guess he could hear or he could listen to a poll.
Oh yes, he can listen to everything.
While he's on, you know what I mean? And we'll get to him very shortly. Of course, our poll this morning is: do you think criminal gangs will behave themselves due to the state of emergency? Yes or no? Because the police convinced the Prime Minister clearly that they need a state of emergency because the gang's not behaving and that the murder rate has been spiking again. You know, so if I still wonder if the police has information, I refuse to use the word intelligence, information that these are the people who are causing all the trouble. Go on, deal with it now. Oh, for crying out loud. Anyway, you ready, Sir Charles?
Yes, yeah, I have.
All right. Susan Jessup says no. I hope I didn't miss any before that. Avion Abraham, no. Boy Bidesi, no. Magic, no. Lester Cragwell, no. Criminals are always one step ahead. Well, they're not just one, huh? They're way ahead of the TTPS. Dave Gosai, no. Robert Allen, no. Marlon Motley, no. Kazim Mohammed, no. The Slimy Show, nah. Finbar Collins, as voice tune says, I can't behave myself, no. Rena Jennings, no. Robert Allen, yeah, you're sure right. Bernadette Yates, no. CJ from New York, no. Apollinaris, no. David McCarthy, no, they will not behave. Michael Robinson, no. Helen Prescott, no. Marlene Saunders Sobers, no, they will adapt. Well, that's what they did last time, didn't they? Joyce Phillip, no. Ava Smith, no. Beauty Culture, no. They are criminals. Criminals' modus operandi is to misbehave. This Trini gets fit, no.
Even normal.
Yeah. Trini, Merle Kitchen, no. I'm saying it today, and I've said it before. If the police service can't fix themselves, they cannot fix this place. They have problems within the police service, and if they can't fix that, they will not be able to fix this place. Right. Colted Finch, no. Colted Finch is there hurting my eye. I don't know. I didn't watch the news. I don't know how he did it. Erica Charles, no. James Kamau, no. This is where all the chat starts now. Kapidi Nigerian, you're not seeing the poll, but you're seeing it and you didn't vote still. Florence Bazi didn't vote. Beverly Andrews didn't vote. Kapidi Nigerian finally votes yes, they will behave. Eunice Dublin, no. Sankofa didn't vote. Yeah, I think he voted earlier on. Let's see, a lot of chat now. I have to sift through all this chat. Just now.
Yeah, that's why we tell people, put yes or no first now. You know?
It's a repeat.
We know that is up. We're dealing with the poll.
Right. Fran Romani says yes. Robert Taylor, no. Cheryl Maraj, no. Margaret Thomas, no. Gemma Peters Halls, no. Carol Guevara, no. Valerie Mendoza, no. Lyndon Williams, no. Diane, no. Mendel, the police already has the authority to arrest and charge without a warrant based on suspicion outside, and they'll still have been able to deal with crime. So the SCU won't. That's my opinion too, Andre. They have a lot of the things they want to do now. They already have the authority to do that. So I really don't know what's the purpose of this thing. Josie Richardson says no. Junior Wickham, no. Joseph Clement, no. Staubin, no. Alistair Hart, no. Bridget Buchanan, never. So I guess that's no. And that's it. That's it for my votes here.
Okay. So let's see. We have on the WhatsApp, we have Pauline saying yes. We have Brenda saying no. Frank saying no. Archbishop Ashton Clark saying no. Afria saying no. Terry Ann Peters saying no. Zena saying hell no. Kenwin saying no. Peter Wilson saying no. And yeah, that's up.
All right. So make a count. I have Edwin Joseph just jump in and said no. So that's the last vote I have, right?
All right. Well, 45 of you on the poll this morning and responded. 42 of you said no, and 3 of you said yes. Yeah, so 3 people have faith. 42 of you will have no faith in these criminals outside here. Criminals will be what they are, criminals doing what they have to do.
Yeah. You know, I don't know. I don't see a change with an SOE, But I hope at the end of the day that the police and the government get it right, and that we are able to see a reduction in crime, a reduction in murders, and a better quality of life for people in Trinidad and Tobago. That's all I ask for.
But I think that is the ultimate goal, because at the end of the day, I mean, like, it's life is very uncomfortable for everybody, It's before you could have said, well, that's them and it's not me.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it's the water that we have been drinking or what it is, but the criminal element outside here don't care,
They don't care, Sir Charles, because our security agencies are compromised by them and are compromised with them.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, that's how else could you explain the most recent? Forget about all the others before. Let's only deal with the most recent incident involving the TTPS, where somebody, Casper, walked into a police station, replaced blocks of marijuana, and if people know how they shape the rectangular blocks, right? That's how they package it. Replace that with blocks of wood in a police station, in a place where the drugs were secured, I imagine, right? In a property room or whatever they call it. Explain that, and you know for sure we have a problem.
Yeah,
and there's been nothing coming from the Commissioner of Police. Nothing that I have seen that addresses that situation. That is the most recent of situations. Okay.
And clearly they did not seal it to get rid of mosquitoes.
Right.
Yeah, so it's probably back on the streets, already sold, whatever is the case. So as I said, but and you're right, the criminal within and outside, within and out. Yeah.
If they don't fix it within, they can't fix it without. That's just me.
All right, well, let's get into our Let's Talk segment. We get it a little early. Didn't see that the poll ran so smoothly this morning. Yeah. All right, so stay with us.
Yeah.
Hi. Good morning, Minister Swaratsingh.
Good morning, gentlemen. When are we keeping?
We keeping good. Thanks for joining us earlier than normal. We don't normally be waiting on guests. We don't normally have guests waiting on us.
No. I am not like that at all. I don't want to keep people waiting at all. Sir Charles.
Good morning to you, sir. Good to have you.
Yeah, Sir Charles know how I operate. I always try to be on time.
Yes.
It's not what they say. It's not the regular Trini. Anytime is Trini time.
No. That's the military part of me.
Well, that's great. Thanks for joining us. Of course, I see you having an absolutely wonderful time at Scandal and Cedros on Saturday.
Well, you know my father from Cedros, right? Well, I don't know if you know that.
No,
my father
I didn't know that.
It's my father from Cedros. And when you're driving as you're driving into Cedros, that snack it on your right-hand side. That's where my father born and grew up. And my aunt and my family, and they still have that snack it there.
Ah, but look at that. We didn't know that. Does Richard know that?
No, but I will deal with him.
Because he might want to put you in the play. He might want to put part of your family in the play.
They don't call him Alexander. Let him call Alexander.
Did you enjoy that part? His conversation? I saw you.
I did. The play was a nice play. I enjoyed the play.
Yeah, I realized that. I was sitting not too far from you. Anyway, thanks again for joining us, Minister Swaratsingh. Of course, we're talking this morning Global Environment Facility funding. That is the most latest project that your ministry has embarked upon. Tell us a bit about it.
Well, as you know, the one of the things that that planning has always had is access to international funding, especially on the climate side. And it's just not that global funding. There are lots of other funding that we get, technical corporations. Part of what we try to do is to facilitate funding for green initiatives, initiatives that are shifting away from the carbon-centric economy that we have. So, for example, part of what we just agreed to when I went to COP in Brazil an agency there called GAGE, which is Global Environmental Climate Fund as well, Global Alliance for Climate Fund. And we cabinet has agreed for us to participate in GAGE, and GAGE provide what is called counterpart financing for carbon projects. The Prime Minister has asked us to look at carbon credit projects, so projects that reduce carbon emissions. It's difficult for us to be able to sign all these agreements to say that we are going to participate globally to reduce emissions and to create a more sustainable environment without having the requisite funding to actually do specific projects. So, for example, Kariri Public Utilities, they are all looking at projects in terms of taking tires and repurposing tires for different downstream industry, for like to use on the roads or to use tiles. So there are lots of other projects going on in the environment to try to reduce not just emissions, but to reduce waste, to repurpose waste. As you know, the only engineered landfill we have really is in Forest Reserve, and the public utilities is working on a program to decommission the Beetham dump and to develop a general waste policy. So there are lots of initiatives going on, and we need funding for all of that. So these funds will help to create the activity that would lead to some of these projects coming to fruition.
Now we've been hearing about the Beetham landfill and tires, the proper disposal of tires and even plastics and so on for, I don't know, for eternity. But it just seems that we just talk this and we're not getting anywhere. How?
No, if you, there is an actual plant that is a pilot project that is in operations right now. It's down in where Sandotech used to be. I think it's UTT campus now in San Fernando, operated by Kariri. And if ever you get a chance, you should visit that plant because it is actually in operations. What we have to do is to start replicating these things in a more in a grander scale. But part of what I think we don't do is, all this talk about all these green and climate initiatives have to also lead to practical solutions in ways that people can see how these things are being implemented and the impact that it is having. I have always felt that, and I've said to the people here in the ministry, I mean, we have spent millions of dollars in research, and we go to all kinds of conferences, and we know all kinds of other things, but we need to have solutions that are implementable and practical. And that Kariri plant, because I visited it when I went to launch a solar project down there together with the Minister of Tertiary Education, and the plant is operational. And Kariri has been speaking to public utilities because Swim Call has a mandate as well, and we try not to duplicate things but to work collaboratively. But the whole idea now is to get some of these things expanded and so if you're producing tires or taking tires and repurposing them for additives that can be used on roads and so on, you have to link that to where that can be of use, for example, in the Ministry of Works and through Swim Call. So, but that's a live program, it's a live project. But unfortunately, those are not sexy projects. You don't really get the type of coverage for those things as you would get for other things. Yeah. But there are quite a few of those projects. So the other thing, for example, that we have had here that has not worked well or has not worked as well as it should is the whole thing about recycling. We do not have a recycling. We have a plastics bartering program, and we really have to go into some of those things a little bit more actively in terms of getting some of those programs. So public utilities.
Minister Swaratsingh, good morning. As you're talking about garbage disposal and stuff like that. I mean, I would have raised this a couple of times on the show. The issue of the Guanapo dump, which is now a rival mountaintop in the northern range that you can see from miles away. Which to me is unacceptable in any country that is looking at
Agreed. I think both Guanapo and Beetham has the
problem because it's a problem because it's going to get bigger and bigger and taller and taller.
Yeah. The only real landfill or engineered landfill that we have is in Forest Reserve. And so there is a committee under public utilities that are currently considering and what is called an integrated waste policy. And Minister Padarat has been spearheading that together with Pal Seksam and Minister Elder. And it is creating or getting active consideration together or supported with the under the UNDP. But the whole aim now is to create an engineered landfill in Forest Reserve and deal with Guanapo as well as the Beetham. But that is the policy side. On the behavior side is where we have a real issue. And that is the side that is difficult to I mean, it's to get people to shift behavior. So, for example, if you deal with Beetham, you have to deal with all these social issues that we have there as well. And Guanapo is the same thing. And then people tend to dump rubbish indiscriminately. I remember there was a story a couple of months ago, of somebody dumping tires in, I think it was on Claxton Bay or something. But people have to, that behavior change is where I think we will have our biggest challenge. But we have to create the policy initiatives and the legislation to give effect to what we're discussing here.
A few years ago,
I know you mentioned.
Go ahead, Richard.
No, I know you mentioned solar. As part of the under the Ministry of Planning. I know there was under the previous administration, I think BP is building a huge solar facility. Is there any update on that?
It's completed. It's completed, but the problem that we have with some of these initiatives as well is that we actually produce more energy than we need. And some of our energy plants, I mean, we have TGU and Power Gen and Trinity. So we do have so a lot of these solar parks in producing energy, as you know, part of, and I think Barbados had the problem as well when Barbados passed legislation where you can sell back to the grid, but there are two other issues. One is storage. So when you produce solar, how do you store it? Or energy from solar, how do you store it? And the second thing, of course, is that if you're selling back to the grid and the grid could only take a certain amount, how much could you really sell back to the grid? And that was some of the issues that when we, in Barbados and in some other countries. So the issue with solar is so what I think we're looking to move towards. Some of the we've been speaking to some of the private contractors as we gear up for the housing program, is to see how we can use solar to replace water heaters and to start to proliferate solar on buildings and houses and so on, as opposed to the solar parks themselves, so that it has a direct input into reducing how much energy houses and the buildings use. So I think we have to find, as I said, practical ways to integrate some of that into the and move it into the fabric of the things we do on an ordinary basis.
Yeah,
I thought the solar park. Sorry, Wendell. I thought that solar park was in fact to be clean energy coming into the system.
Yes.
And whatever energy we're using now to be repurposed to be sold on the international market, or to get us to reduce Trinidad and Tobago's carbon footprint.
Right.
So
to
that's
reduce
not
the inputs into the. But yeah, again, that is correct, and I think we're using some of it on the estate as well, and to reduce how much gas go into producing energy in TNTEC and other places. But again, to have a real effect, the issue with solar is how much space it takes up. the quantity you would need to have any real effect.
Going back to the issue of garbage disposal, Minister, I know that a few years ago there was a pilot project launched with the municipal corporations in terms of how they should dispose of garbage. I remember Tunapuna Piako was part of that, and people had a responsibility for putting out garbage in a certain way. I mean, when I travel, sometimes you will get a ticket if you mix your garbage and put it out. You'll get a ticket in your mail because the garbage men are checking to see that you separated your garbage properly. Where are we with that?
Well, that's what Minister Padarat and they are working with the team to come up with an integrated waste policy, because we have to disaggregate waste. That's what we're talking about from the household perspective. You have to put, for example, you have to separate plastics, but you also have to separate biodegradable waste as well. So as I'm saying, in the integrated waste policy, we have to move towards where the behaviors are shaped from the household perspective coming right up. So how it is disposed of, how it is collected, and ultimately how we use it for alternative purposes in a engineered landfill site.
Right. And as you raise the issue of solar, I mean, Richard, I look at solar for people's personal use, almost like how Richard looks at body cams for the police. Like they say, you see, all you're not getting that. It's like we blacklisted against that. So why can't households pursue their own agenda for getting?
But one of the things that with solar is the cost of the inputs. So I think what we are working to right now, I've been discussing with quite a few housing developers, is to see how we could integrate that into the housing development program, so that I mean, in an ideal world, if I were to suggest what I would like to see, and what would have a meaningful contribution, is if we can build homes with solar panels and an electric vehicle in the garage. If we can do those kinds of things, I think we can go a long way in reducing emissions. But I think we also have to look to see how we can bring in, I mean, at one time we were talking about EV vehicles for buses and other things and so on. So we have to move in that direction ultimately or eventually. That's where the world is moving to. But to go back to the funding side, that's where there's lots of funding for, is to support those kinds of programs.
How then can the government explain the decision then to start back importing 8-year-old cars and so on, in light of where we want to go with emissions and so on?
Well, I mean, not because we create a facility to do it, that the Minister of Trade still has oversight in that. But at the end of the day, you have to also balance policy decisions, because policy decisions takes time to implement over time. So these are not immediate things and so on. So as you try to give people access to expand their livelihood, you have to create a balance on both sides of the equation. The thing with policy, especially on the climate side, it takes time to implement some of those things. It takes time to develop those things. For example, recently, Proman brought in 4 trucks manufactured in China, 4 trucks that use methanol as opposed to fuel. You would have heard recently there was a ship here from Australia that would have used ammonia as opposed to as an alternative fuel, for marine fuel, that is. And so you do have a lot of persons. We talked about green hydrogen, especially down to produce ammonia down in industrial estates. So you do have a lot of things, but these things just take time. And unfortunately, that's while we're developing and moving, we also have to create a nexus for people to earn a living.
Minister, I just want to find out, beyond the launch and the funding announcement and everything, what will citizens actually physically see over the next 4 years? I mean, what are the measurable outcomes that will inform the citizens that this money that we're getting, this US $3.5 million, is an investment that is actually working?
But two things. One is that 3.4 million is over a period of time, so it's not all at once. You don't give you a check. And then the other thing too is you have to develop programs in order to access it. Wendell would know that quite well from his time in local government. You when you get funding, it's you still have to create the programs in order to be able to specifically apply the funding to them. But one of the things that I am very keen to expand on, and Korea is doing a lot of good work. And I think Minister Padarat and Swimcall have been looking at that tire facility, and that's one of the things that I want to expand, because we do have a lot of tires that we have to get rid of. The other thing, of course, that when you go through Trinidad, you have quite a few. We have to look to see how we can start, because we have to start cleaning up the place. The place really needs cleaning up, not just from the tires, but you also have iron, a lot of old derelict vehicles and so on, and stored all over the place. So we do have to find ways in which we can use that kind of funding, but it's a small amount of funding. I think we need significantly a lot more funding. So what we will do with it is use it to develop programs where we can access a wider funding. Now, also together with that, the EME has been certified as a global climate fund disbursing agency. We have completed that process. As you know, we're completing the process to have the World Bank open an office here in Port of Spain as well. So the whole idea is to get access to different types of funding that we could now make available to NGOs, local private sector, in order to move some of these things along. There are going to be programs where we're going to support initiatives where some businesses are trying to become a lot more efficient by using different types of methodologies that will ultimately result in cleaner energy and less emissions.
Well, Jason Samuel just asked the question that I was about to ask. And in terms of the rivers, I know that this project is also, I think some money is going into the Carney, the riverbanks.
Desilting, yes.
And desilting. How is that to be administered?
Well, as you may recall that when we came in May of last year, I think by June, July, there was significant rainfall, and Minister John, Minister Amin, as well as Minister Ratiram had a massive program to clear some river mouths and desilt. And so, in fact, I think there's an ongoing program to deal with that. So we will support that program as well, because we have to make sure that, and if my memory serves me correctly, there was significant blockage at the mouth of the Caroni River that needed to, and in fact, we would have spent a couple $100 million last year just dealing with that problem alone.
Yeah. Well, one of the other issues, Minister, that I wanted to raise with you is the issue of the one-stop shop for approvals for homes, buildings, and so on. That has also been on the cards through local government for a long time, local government / Ministry of Planning. Where have we gotten with that? Because it just seems that people are still waiting forever to get plans approved and so on.
Yeah, a good question. Thank you. I think the part of so you would have heard when we launched the revitalization program, we had launched what is called a priority portal. Now, Develop TT has been operating quite well, but I think part of what we have is a collaboration issue. You, of course, in local government, because you do have, even if you get plans approved from town and country and you get your CECs from EMA, you start to go to local government to get approval at the local government office. And sometimes that's where I think we have some of our bottlenecks as well. People can have outline approval, but they can't start the project. And as recently as a couple of months ago, and I think where the U.S. Embassy is building their new embassy, where they have, I think, the housing side of it going down by Okurinook. they're putting a part of it is in Port of Spain, a part is in Diego Martin.
Yes.
And I think you can get somebody like the health official who at the corporation can shut a project down. And the CEO and the mayor, in fact, we had to get the Minister of Health involved in order to get it approved and so on. So you do have some anomalies in our system where projects can be held up because somebody is not satisfied that you have this or that in place. So what we have done is that we have created a fast track process for projects that are 50 million and above. And hopefully very soon we will have the first outputs of those projects, because we've given a sort of 3-month commitment to get some of those projects fast tracked through the system.
All right.
And you would have also seen that the EMA has been giving CECs at a very a more efficient rate. Exxon would have gotten theirs in advance. We just give one CEC to a developer for San Fernando, for a hotel in San Fernando. They are getting their second one for a hotel in Tobago later on this month. So we have been pushing everyone, and not to cut corners, but just not to hold things back unduly.
I'm glad you said that, because I don't know. I know that a Minister of Planning can't possibly be on top of all the projects that are taking place. But I do know, and you'll correct me if I'm wrong, that a Minister of Planning has in his authority to override any decision that a municipal corporation may or may not make. In other words, he can give blanket approval at the end of the day. Does that still
for town and country purposes?
For town and country purposes, yes.
You can make an appeal to the minister.
Right. But I know that process will take some time before it actually gets to a minister to actually oversee a project like that.
But agreed. But I really want to commend Camille Guichard and her team at TCPD. I mean, they've really, and the chairman of the EMA and the staff of the EMA, we've all been trying very, very hard, because reputedly, between 2021 and 2025, over the last 5 years or so, the amount of projects or the amount of money Trinidad and Tobago would have lost or foregone is in the billions of dollars for people who just get tired of waiting, and they would have just left, because you can't keep. There are many homes for capital. People have lots of opportunity, Trinidad and outside of Trinidad, and therefore they wouldn't sit and wait. So we really have to understand that we're in a very, very competitive global environment. There are alternatives for investments, and so we really have to not sit down and take it for granted that we Trinidad, everybody have to come and everybody want to come. That's not what it's about. We have to create an environment. We have to be able to create a credibility, and we have to and credibility in our institutions, that we can do what we say we can do, and we can. So our job is to facilitate. Our job is to encourage people to want to come here and make that kind of investment. And that's really where the Prime Minister has been pushing us to become a lot more efficient. And she keeps saying to us that she do not want to be just a government of announcement. We have to actually get things done. And I think that's where over the last few months we have been sort of working with our organizations and institutions and those under our remit to become a lot more efficient, to understand their role in building a new Trinidad and Tobago.
But with all of these different agencies, I mean, that are involved, and government divisions, I think EWA is involved, the THA is involved, and all those other individuals, who ultimately holds responsibility if some of those targets that have been set, and I'm sure they are targets, if they are not met? What it's like, what accountability mechanisms are in place for things like that?
Well, if one day you don't see me here, I'm the one being held responsible. At the end of the day, I think planning is traditionally, or has traditionally been, the ministry's ministry. It is our role and our job to help the government succeed through various initiatives in ministries across the public service. And I take that very, very seriously. I take my role in supporting my colleagues extremely seriously. And that's why I think we have been working very tirelessly under this prime minister. I mean, to be honest, she holds us to a very, very high standard, and you know, every week or two we have to produce reports as to what we're doing, how it is going, and you know, I've really been very pleased that is the kind of standard that she's holding me to, and my colleagues, and I try very, very hard, not just not to let the government down, but not to let Trinidad and Tobago down. I think we have a lot that we need to get right, and the onus is on us. This job is about you know, about trying to make a difference, and trying to take it's not a sprint, is it really? And you take what you've gotten and try to take it to the next level, and so that when you're ready to hand it off, you hand it off at a better place than when you found it. And we have been working really, really hard to try to get some of our institutions lined up in that way. We need to get investments in the country. We need to get people coming in to work with, to get the private sector to be doing more. We need to get them to drive the non-energy growth in the economy. So we don't have any time to waste. And what I've been trying to do with our institutions is give them a greater sense of urgency. That we have been talking about these things too long. I mean, when they'll just refer to it earlier on. We're talking. We have to start demonstrating and showing some nexus between what we have been talking and planning and researching to how we actually implementing and making a difference in people's lives.
Yeah. Do you see yourself ever getting back into representative politics? I mean, I remember you being the member of parliament for St. Joseph, a very popular one at that. I mean, you were well loved in St. Joseph, even though it was for a short period. Do you see yourself getting back involved in that type of politics?
I have no such ambitions. I'm a public servant, and I'm very grateful, as I've said before, for the opportunity to come back and to contribute. And I will do the best I can given the opportunity that is before me. But my desire is really just to serve, not to. I have no ambitions otherwise.
So I think after the 4-year grant funding ends, you know, how will these initiatives be sustained after this period?
Well, two things. I think we need to, as I said, my purpose during this time is to find ways to apply that to practical things that will have a life of its own, like the tire program, the desilting program. We need to fix, for example, some of the pumps down there and make sure the pumps are operating efficiently and so on. So part of what I would hope that we would do is to have some of these things applied to more sustainable initiatives that operates outside of and independently of government as well. So that these things are not reliant only on government's initiative, but can be sustained through NGO or private sector involvement. Too much, I think, is left to government, and too much is the government is the government traditionally has played too much of a significant role in many of these things, and that's why some of these initiatives are not sustainable, because if it's only reliant on government and government time and resources and so on, there are times when our priorities by necessity will change and shift. So we have to find ways to make these things much more sustainable, get more persons involved, get NGOs involved, get private sector involved, and so some of these things can take a life of its own.
Yeah.
I know it's a lot of work, but how will some of these initiatives turn into like real economic opportunities for jobs, business growth, income generation, and things like that?
More
I think
importantly, employment, because I mean that was a big topic on the news last night in terms of the promise of jobs and so on.
And I think that's where ultimately we have to go, and that's the reason why it has to be sustainable. Like I think what we have talked about, and what the Prime Minister have talked about, is not just jobs, but sustainable jobs, living jobs with a living wage. And I think that's where we have to move to. That's the reason why, in getting agencies to be more efficient in cleaning up the place and so on, it is to create a greater climate for investments where we can, so the jobs, the public sector. The public sector, there's about 20,000 jobs across the public service. Now, and again, part of why these things take time is because those permanent jobs, the remit to hire persons lie in the Public Service Commission. Ministries don't hire people for permanent jobs. It is the Public Service Commission. So when it comes to filling vacancies in customs, filling vacancies in BIR, filling vacancies in permanent positions in the ministry, that's the public service. What the ministries do with the approval of cabinet is fill contract positions. And again, there are some short-term contracts that have been executed in the Ministry of Local Government, in the Ministry of Works. But the whole idea is to move to ultimately to getting the permanent positions filled in the public service through the Public Service Commission. There's a new chairman of the commission who I have a lot of confidence in, and I'm hoping that the director of personal administration, I know there's an intent to try to get some of these things operating more efficiently, but I think that's what I think people need to understand. For the public service is like an oil tanker, For it to move, everything have to be, there are lots of persons, lots of agencies, lots of people who have to bring a greater sense of urgency to get some of these things done. It is not one thing. It's quite a few things that have to operate and work well all at the same time.
Yeah. And final question from me, Minister, and I'm happy that the person put it in the chat just now. The work from home policy. Will we ever go back to that? Are we still considering that?
Well, I mean, there are some agencies that still do it, but it's primarily because they have, for example, like I know one agency where they do have a air quality issue, where they have a rotation, people working from home and so on. So it is not that we have discontinued the policy. It is that persons must, or managers, supervisors have to use their own discretion when it comes to these things. Because the one thing that the Dr. Hussain from the university will tell you is that our worker participation rate is low. Our productivity rate is also not where it should be. So, we need to find ways to make sure that even as we do these things, that we increase worker participation, increase productivity. For me, output is what is important. We need to get the job done. And sometimes, unfortunately, it is not always easy to do that in remote work processes.
Yeah. All right. Minister, thank you so much for joining us on the Breakfast Show again. Well, as a guest, because we know you're on the Breakfast Show every morning.
I listen every morning, and I just wanted to let Mr. Raghu Bararsingh know that the next time you have to create a scandal, please don't use Cedros, where my family from. It is not nice. And the shots that came from a boat driving, because my family sort of boats in Cedros, they used to do shrimp fishing and so on. So my cousins and so on down there. So I had a nice laugh.
So you had a lot of memories.
Lots of memories. I used to go to Cedros for vacation every summer when I was a little child.
The last time I was in Cedros, I went to play cricket. That's how long ago it was.
I feel Richard never went to Cedros, by the way. So.
Actually, I did go to Cedros about a year or so ago, and Ikakas. I'd never been before that, so you would have caught me. I've never been before that. And
Ikakas?
I did. And you know what struck me about both Ikakas and the Cedros, Minister? That they are both undiscovered gems. in terms of they are both seaside villages that I think can be quaint and could become tourist attractions for internal and external tourists.
Yeah.
And
I haven't gone up for a while, but whenever you go down, as you're going to Bona's village, there's the first snacky they come to on your right hand side. Go and ask my cousin Prano, he owned the snacky, and tell him, "Give you a beer on my farm."
I have to go with him then. We all have to go then.
Ben, sir, thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
All right. So we go in my Prano shop, Richard.
Yeah.
Well, I hope
So,
credit him because he will tell you, I ain't seen the minister for years.
Prano was listening right now.
Prano, we coming.
Prano might say, I know when I will get that money. So. But that's what struck me about Cedros and Ikakas, that there's a lot of possibility in terms of those being seaside villages in Trinidad, and of course they're far south, and a lot of Trinidadians I know have never been to Cedros or Ikakas.
Deep south, far south to describe them.
Yeah, and they're just, to me, they can be really tourist points in terms of how you develop them, and weigh into their quaintness and make something out of it. You always have to have a plan of how you develop whatever the product is. And I felt that Cedros and Ikakas had that going for them.
Cedros, Ikakas. Iran is down at that end also?
Say that again?
Iran is there, yeah.
Iran is on there. Right. I wonder, because Iran is like one of the last parts of that area, right?
Yeah.
I remember going there years ago. I went on an excursion, and when we went to bathe on the beach, we had to walk all the way because like the tide was out now, and we walk to get to the water and that sort of thing. And then I'm looking back. I said, "What if this tide decides to come in here suddenly? I can come all that because it was a great distance. It was like few feet,
One of the first excursions I went on was to Losio, actually, too, because that's all the town people used to go. Them far places.
Yeah. And when you reach half the time, you're sick. I can't drive. Anyhow, people are going for the 8 o'clock. You stay with us and we'll come back and do the final session of the breakfast show.
The news you need. The clarity you deserve. Local, regional, global. This is Net Radio News Now.
This is News Now on New Era TT Radio, Net Radio, and Gael Caribbean TV for Wednesday, the 4th of March. I'm Derek McMillan. Thanks for joining us. The Judicial Committee of the Privy Council has refused the state's final bid to challenge a near $20 million award to 9 men once accused of murdering Vindra Naipal Coolman. The London-based court declined special leave to appeal, effectively upholding a default judgment first entered in the High Court and later reinstated by the Court of Appeal of Trinidad and Tobago. The men were charged in 2007 and spent about 10 years on remand before being acquitted in 2016. They later filed a civil claim for malicious prosecution after the state failed to file a defense. Damages were assessed at just under $20 million. With the ruling from the Judicial Committee of the Privy Council, the award can no longer be challenged. Trinidad and Tobago is once again under a state of emergency. Prime Minister Kamla Persad Bisesar announced that President Christine Kangaloo declared the measure effective Monday, March 3rd, following advice from the National Security Council. The announcement comes weeks after the previous state of emergency ended on January 31st. The Prime Minister said security briefings pointed to an increase in violent crime linked to organized gangs, including recent mass shootings and threats of reprisal attacks. Officials also reported intelligence of planned attacks on police, prison officers, and members of the legal services. Government says the measure is aimed at preventing further escalation. Details of the regulations are expected in the coming days. The Tobago House of Assembly says the island remains safe following the state of emergency declaration. In a media release, the THA referenced the reasons outlined by Prime Minister Kamla Prasad Bisasa, but stated that Tobago continues to record low levels of serious and organized crime. It said law enforcement and national security partners have found no evidence of escalating gang activity or coordinated crime on the island. The THA added it remains in active communication with the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service to ensure measures in Tobago are proportionate and intelligence-led. Residents and visitors are being encouraged to continue normal activities while remaining vigilant. Tobago has recorded 1 murder so far this year. The Communication Workers Union is cautioning government against using the current state of emergency to restrict constitutional rights. In a statement, the union said, while it supports firm action to combat crime, emergency powers must not be used to curtail peaceful protest or democratic expression. It emphasized that freedoms of movement, assembly, and expression remain protected under the Constitution, and called on government to outline clear objectives, safeguards, and timelines for the measure. Meanwhile, Chief Personnel Officer Daryl Dindial confirmed that a 5% salary and cost of living allowance offer made before the 2025 elections remains in place. He met with the fire service associations to address concerns including salary negotiations and allowances, and committed to continued discussions. A 60-year-old Barrackpore man has died after his home was destroyed by fire on Sunday. Police say Bachan Samlal of Sandhill Trace was inside the 10 by 14-foot structure when it became engulfed in flames around 5:20 p.m. His ex-common-law wife Shirley Rampersad reported the fire after spotting the blaze nearby. The house, valued at $40,000, was completely destroyed. Samlal's burnt remains were later found in the rubble. In a separate incident, 76-year-old Johnson Fillmore narrowly escaped a house fire at John Gully Trace following a domestic dispute late Sunday night. One relative sustained serious burns and was taken to hospital. Fire officers extinguished the blaze, and police are investigating. In international news, European allies are deploying military assets to Cyprus after a British airbase on the island was struck over the weekend, amid escalating tensions following U.S.-Israeli strikes on Iran. The United Kingdom is sending helicopters with counter-drone systems and the Type 45 destroyer HMS Dragon. French President Emmanuel Macron confirmed a French frigate will also be deployed, while Greece is sending F-16 fighter jets and 2 frigates. Britain's defense ministry said RAF jets have intercepted an Iranian drone over Jordan. Cyprus has stated it is not involved in the conflict and is not a target, as efforts continue to prevent further drone incursions. And that is news at this hour.
That was News Now. Stay informed with New Era TT Radio, Net Radio.
S&H Rumbox, 137 Western Main Road, St. James, for all your retail and wholesale needs for alcohol and non-alcoholic beverages. Call us at 686-0599 or visit us at 137 Western Main Road, St. James. S&H Rumbox, drinking out of the box.
Save more now at Furniture Plus. Get a pair of pillows for only $49, queen mattresses from $7.99, free gifts with select purchases, plus extra discounts on higher purchase plans. Hurry, visit any Furniture Plus showroom today.
By public demand. Yeah, by public demand. The first play of 2026, Scandal in Cedros, continues by public demand. Extended for a further 2 nights only on Saturday, March 7th at 8:30 p.m. and Sunday 8th at 6:30 p.m. at the Central Bank Auditorium. It's a bacchanal. Don't miss it. Scandal in Cedros, extended by public demand for a further 2 nights at the Central Bank Auditorium. Tickets available at usual outlets and at the Central Bank Auditorium box office. Don't miss it.
Scandal in Cedros.
Advertise with us on New Era TT Radio. the fastest growing streaming platform for talk in Trinidad and Tobago. Audio and video ads welcome. Elevate your brand with us. Connect with us at newera@yahoo.com or call us at 299-5156. Now what are you waiting for?
Okay, so we are back. Of course, we're in the and final hour of the breakfast show.
You know what I'm reading? Somebody just sent me a story of a incident that happened in East Lakes in Tampuna Road South. That apparently a lady was on a video Zoom call with a meeting, and intruders broke into her home. So the people who are on the call with her are actually seeing and hearing what's going on. You understand? And police arrived on the compound because they called police because they seen what's happening. And the police were denied entry onto the compound by the security of the compound.
Wow.
It's a lengthy story, so I can't read all of it, but it's a story that apparently it's something that happened yesterday.
So the police come to respond to something going on at the compound, and the security override the police.
That story ain't making no sense to me. That ain't making no sense.
Yeah, something wrong with that story.
That ain't making no sense. I can't see security. I cannot see security for a gated community telling police you can't come in and report an incident. That makes no sense to me. That's something missing there. Something missing there, or somebody making that up.
Let me read the part about it, because I didn't believe it too. I responded to the person unbelievable. It says officers from the Criminal Investigations Department responded to the distress call and proceeded to the East Lakes compound. Upon arrival, police said SWAT security officers refused to open the gate to allow them entry. The police informed the security personnel that they were responding to an active robbery and instructed them to open the gate. However, the SWAT officers reportedly refused, stating they had received instructions from their superiors not to allow any unmarked police vehicles onto the compound. Probably some prior incident happened. They also questioned how the officers could confirm that a robbery was in progress. Additional officers in marked police vehicles later arrived at the scene, but were also reportedly denied entry. Police officers protested, reminding the security personnel that they were responding to a violent crime in progress. They further indicated that under the state of emergency, they were legally empowered to enter the premises without a warrant. Officers reportedly warned the security guard that they could face arrest for obstructing police in the execution of their duties. It was only after the intervention of senior police officers that access to the compound was eventually granted. Now, I suspect because of a prior incident, why officers would have been given an instruction not to allow unmarked police vehicles onto the compound. It probably has to do with some history. But also, in this incident, it probably has to be with how the officers were also approached by the police officers. You understand? But the guys escaped apparently through a nearby drain, and that was that.
Oh boy, I mean that song real incredible.
It's not it's unbelievable. Not incredible, but unbelievable. You know? Yeah. But that's a story that's trending.
That story. I don't know, boy. I don't know how that kind of thing can happen. But as I said, this is Trinidad and Tobago for you. Yeah. So, well, apparently, in any case, I was now going to ask how the thieves got onto the compound. So they probably the same way they came in, the same way they left.
Yeah, jumper wall. Gated communities are not immune to these types of things. You understand? People feel sometimes a false sense of security in gated communities. You understand? But gated communities have been known to have crime just like everywhere else, because people see it as an opportunity, a quiet community, you understand, as an opportunity, and people who maybe,
and the security officer by the front gate, and nobody don't come down at the back.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Oh my word!
People leave doors open in these communities because they feel, as I say, that false sense of security. So the front door open or wherever open, you know what I mean? And they're about the place. Those things happen.
Yeah, it does. You know, but I want to give kudos to David Naked. And then when they're best friend.
You know, Sir Charles, you know, not to cut across you, but I did cut across you. I was actually going to give him kudos this morning because I don't listen to nothing that boy say. I don't like to hear him. I don't share anything. He, Anil, and Philip Alexander, I do not participate in anything they have to say. And I've said that for years. I do not. But yesterday on the news, I watched what was in the news, and I'm seeing David Naki. They asked him about the situation in Iran, and he said he supports Iran. As a Muslim, he supports the stance by Iran. He said he know it will not how should I put it, not everybody will agree with him, but he stood by that. And I admired him for that. I honestly did admire him for that.
Yeah, because he was asked, basically, you know, given that the government has shown their support behind the U.S. invasion or whatever, or the collaboration, and he said, well, I have basically, and paraphrasing, well, I don't agree with that, and I have told them that, you know, and he was very open in saying it, and that is that's something that we don't see or hear too often, where governments and individuals are, because everybody toes a particular line. So I was very happy to see him as an individual on his beliefs, whether it be religious or otherwise, could say, well, the government is doing that. I'm a part of the government, but I don't agree with it.
Yeah. I admired him for that. I honestly did, you know.
So kudos to that. They've been knocking on that one, man.
Yeah. You remind me of David Muhammad in a kind of way there too. But David Muhammad sticks to his guns. He doesn't vary, regardless of what people think or say. He doesn't vary. You know, and I was impressed by David Nakid's position last night on the news, to say he stands with Iran, you know.
Yeah.
Muslim brothers and sisters. I admire that.
Well done.
They're sharing you listening to anything you have to say.
Who knows? One day my son will listen to you now.
I'm watching the news, so that's how I see it. If anybody had sent me that video saying he said that, I wasn't here. I wasn't going to hear it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I wasn't going to play it.
Yeah, we're not playing. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I myself, I said, well, this is really good, you know, because you normally don't get people, you know, at ministerial levels and that sort of thing talking about going against the grain. You know, sometimes they try to play it down, but they don't. But he was very firm in saying, well, you know, I don't support that view that the government has, and he said it, and he said the Prime Minister knows my view.
Yes, he said that too.
He said the Prime Minister, I've indicated it to her, and she understands my positioning, and I find that was very commendable.
He also pointed out at the end too that a certain person who visited Trinidad and Tobago, he did not show up. He was part of that delegation. I
was wondering who was that though.
They showed a lady in hijab after, but I don't think it's that person. I think TV6 got it wrong. I don't know why I feel it's the Indian Prime Minister.
Mr. Modi.
Mr. Modi. I feel it's that
feeling myself, but I wasn't sure.
Yeah, but they showed you somebody else, I think, who recently came from Dubai or Bahrain. There was a delegation, I think, came in recently, but I feel it's Modi he was talking about. You know, I feel it's Modi he was talking about. Yeah, that he didn't show up. He wasn't there. Anyway, we can take a couple calls.
Yes, we can.
Because I know it have a scandal in just coming up soon, right?
Boy, you know, I'll say that. Let me don't trigger that yet. Let's take the couple calls. Caller, good morning to you.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning to you, caller.
First of all, I want to congratulate Richard for being on top of the game. The whole thing with this SOE and thing, we're missing the point is about police competence, right? You know, I have a slight idea. I was doing some research there, and I want to take a different approach to this whole SOE thing. I was watching the statistics from all the different SOEs, right? And so far, with all the SOEs, we had 3,926 arrests. We had 118 people detained. Guess how much was charged?
20 something.
14 people were charged.
14.
14 people were charged. 14 people were charged. And they didn't indicate what the charges was for. If it's for murder, if it was house breaking, home invasion, they just say 14 people were charged, right? But remember in the budget when they announced these raising in the fees and the traffic fees and things, the Minister of Finance say these measures will yield approximately $200 million. You remember that?
Yeah.
I was thinking, how would these fines and things, people will be cautious, how would it yield $200 million? Well,
I wondered about that too. You can't predict that people will actually break the law and give you the money.
Right. Right. So based on that, now look how happening. For each SOE for the 3-month period, you know how much traffic ticket was issued? An average of 15,000 tickets for each period. We had four extension, so that means over 100,000 people were charged. 100,000 by 2,000, get too much money is that?
How much money is that? Go ahead.
200 million.
Right.
So they using the SOE be used as a revenue generating thing. Because they're not arresting people for the murder and so on, and all that thing with the crime and thing and the murders have to do with the competence of the police. Gentlemen, if you have 100,000 murderers outside there on the loose in the public, what do you expect the murder figure to be? You watching a man gun down 2 people, they're gunning down people brazen, right? You don't want that kind of people in your society. We're supposed to hunt them down, and we're supposed to, after all them arrests, all them operations, all them searches, you're going to end up with 14 arrests. That making sense?
Yeah. Okay, thanks much, Kola. I appreciate
I tell you, police and intelligence can go hand in hand, because if you are convinced that it is because of these criminal gangs and them that we have this, and I have no doubt that is why we have this murder rate, right? If you are convinced, then, and you know who they are, because so it's only during an SOE you could fix it.
Yeah, they can't contain them.
I'm not following that. I'm not following that logic at all.
Yeah, they can't contain them. Kola, good morning to you.
Bless good morning to you, Sir Charles, Richard, and Wendell.
Morning.
Crime will never stop. Crime is a money-making business. A perfect example is just what went on just the other day. We have weed in the police station, and then they put wood in exchange for the weed. These things will never stop because police running the block. And I don't know what in my mouth to say that as it is. Once you have police running the block, we expect crime will never stop. Everything is a money-making thing. When amalgamated and then bust through the gate to get prisoners. Let me say the guy call and say they didn't have any court thing again. Them money don't start running once they come out the gate, Crime will never stop. Crime is a money-making machine. But you have to pay the security millions of dollars by the month. Not by the year, millions of dollars by the month. Crime will never stop. That's why I said no to the poll.
Okay.
Because SOE is just an ex. They don't have a crime plan. And I will keep saying, and Wendell, you will back me up with this. Every Monday morning, they always talking about PNM this, PNM that, Rowley this, Rowley that. And they have no crime plan. Because from the time you come out, and that is the first thing on your agenda, SOE and nothing else. That is all you're all doing. And then when it expires, they wait for probably a week or two, and then they start back up on the next story. That's why these also didn't pass through, because they want to run a set of racket. Imagine we have a PM supporting what's going on in the Middle East. with this whole thing, and we support. We have no proper worship or nothing to help you. If a bomb drop in Trinidad, we have nothing to help you.
You have moral support, Susie. Moral support.
Nothing at all. That's why I will always support CARICOM leaders, and to my brothers and sisters at CARICOM. I, from Trinidad and Tobago, I can't talk about UNC and the rest of clowns there, but I support CARICOM because I always tell people CARICOM first. No matter whoever we get big money from, CARICOM is our brothers and sisters. Today, tomorrow, if God forbid, we get an earthquake or a hurricane, they're the first one to come to help us at the end of the day.
Yeah, okay, no problem. Thanks very much, Susan. And I suppose if anything happens, we will go to help also, so yeah, there's some things that will filter itself out. Kola, good morning to you.
Good morning, my gentlemen.
Hey, Mr. Grant.
Morning, Mr. Grant.
Well, you know me, I just watching tricks as I don't predict. As I reach a stage now that I still all you. I am 81, and I'm trying to enjoy my life the best possible. You see the stress with these people that putting me under? I know tell them it's like just now I can't go out yours. It's a good thing we living together 60 years. You know what I mean? She got accustomed, I got accustomed to she like fix she food and things because I afraid I tried my car. Look at the crap she going on this morning. But listen now, this woman's first incarnation, there was rudery under this thing we call it. You know, they create a court and they get you a paper, a bill, and say you can't talk. Well, they can't work again. So they come in now with Zoso. Zoso is with a ban anyway. Or you would get the commissioner to tell me I can't come out for 8 o'clock in the 9 o'clock in the night. We taking things too quiet. And the Chiconas police station, I'm going to pass there just now again. That's marijuana or whatever it is. That thing's supposed to be finalized by now. You're supposed to know who take it. And you know my brothers and things. Hey, Wendell.
Yes, sir.
I had to come by and make a little lime in this thing, but I'm afraid to come out in the night these days, boy.
Come out Friday afternoon. Fridays is a good day to come.
Come on Friday and meet in my rum box.
Let's go. What's with you?
Yeah. Thanks very much, Mr. Grant. Come out Friday and meet him down by rum box. That's the place to be. That's, nice lime, nice people, Zena, good morning.
Good morning, Sir Charles. Good morning to Richard and Wendell.
Zena.
And to all those who listed. Richard, I want to agree with you this morning wholeheartedly, and Wendell too. I don't understand. This thing needs to be challenged because all it did not get through with Zoso. And all it just come and drop it back on us just so. That, as far as I see, that's illegal Zoso. So when I see the things that somebody sent to me, I'm not sharing that foolishness with anybody on my phone. To say you can't debate on send text the thing and watch what you're sending and talking about politics and religious states, and you can't do this and you can't do. So we ain't have no rights then. All our rights are taken away just so. So we can't discuss nothing on phone. You can't text nobody. You can't say what's on phone and fragment people and say that things link to ministry and all. That's all they have to do. It's looking for the criminals and taking serious action. They know where the gangs are, According to Wendell, you know where they are. All you do, all they have to do. They better stop stressing people, Stop stressing people and putting that kind of pressure on the nation. It's not good for us. Like
what I will say is that you still have a right to laugh, and you can exercise that right this weekend at Scandal in Cedros at Central Bank Auditorium. Saturday at 8:30 and Sunday at 6:30. And of course, tickets are available at the Central Bank office 12 to 6 p.m. daily and at the usual outlets. K-Square Fashions in Brentwood Mall, in Westgate, West Mall, and in Eastgate. W. Robbins, Napola Electronics, Narima, and Schaffler Auto Services in Schaffler.
Richard, hold on.
Monday is my birthday. So you will see me some maybe Sunday afternoon. So
Okay, too.
So I know what I have to do. I know what I am demanding. So I'll call it my partner.
Okay.
You know who to talk to.
All right.
So
Okay. No
I
problem.
will be laughing. God spare my life. Thank you.
You miss out on the all-inclusive though. The all-inclusive was Saturday night. It was an all-inclusive at Central Bank.
You might have another one. Everything is move fast enough. When Zina was talking about her rights, you know what your right is here? You have a right to remain silent.
He's part of the Sarah gang.
You have the right to remain silent. Well, good morning to you. Welcome.
Pleasant morning to you guys. I think this government is brilliant. When last you hear about the 10% and the 10% and the 10%? This government showed the full public off, you know. Have a nice morning, guys.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah. Well.
Listen to this. Police may impose curfews on individuals, restrict where a person may live, work, travel, or with whom they may associate. A policeman will come like your mother and father there now. He had to tell you, don't be with this one. Don't travel so. Don't live here. That's your mother and father? What the hell are you hearing?
And that definition of a policeman, you see that a policeman, that worrying to me, you know. It's not even to say, you know, the commissioner, so you know you have some kind of review ticket. That means any policeman.
Any policeman or policewoman can tell you, hey, don't go there. Don't be with that one. Get away from here. Get away from there. Any policeman or woman can tell you that right now.
Dominic, good morning.
Morning, Richard.
But you gotta move out that you gotta move out that Bouge neighborhood, Miss Davidi.
I go where?
The police can tell you move.
Is the policeman who get affected and we go home and can't have money.
Police just defend police.
Wow, I get for that.
Yes.
For saying that, but we can't be getting locked up for saying the truth.
Yeah.
We cannot be talking the truth and get locked up. So that is like we living in Cuba now. And the Prime Minister said that Cuba is undemocratic. Well, every time the Prime Minister says something, it's really the opposite. So she says Cuba is undemocratic and so on, and she's going to make Trinidad that same way. We have no freedom of speech. She said the people in Cuba have no say. Well, then we are second Cuba. We have no say. And I think it is challengeable. Is that a word? Is it challengeable? Is that the correct word, Richard?
We'll take it.
And I believe I'm making it a word. And I believe somebody, I can't say PNM, because in the PNM you have two constitutional lawyers, you have a criminal lawyer, and I don't know what the other lawyers are. But why can't they get the heads down and come up with something to challenge this? But again, as when I say, they did it, and the few people will say, oh, they do that too, right? So we just had a battle over Chris. So Charles, we might not talk show. That's not be at the desktop and say, Kumaya, how the weekend was. So you can't talk nothing.
Oh,
but
my word.
This is setting up a dictatorship. And this Prime Minister had those tendencies since 2010.
Davidi,
locked up so many people. So anyway,
you want to put me in trouble one time. You tested the system. Huh?
Things controversial, me and call it because they see me. I don't want to be in no detention center where I can't watch all you on my YouTube.
well, then do not test the system.
And then see what the box is on. Bye.
Yeah, okay.
I wonder now if I can't say the police hopeless, the TTP is hopeless. I can't say that again.
Well, they might get away. You might get away with that.
Well, I hope when all you come, all you have, it's everything filming all there. I hope all you know that, right? And it's feeding back to a cloud where it can't be deleted. And Ms. Andrews, I see I wanted you ask him about the 360 camera. Remind me to show you the one I have in my vehicle. It can take instructions from you too.
Beautiful. All right, let's take our final caller. Caller, good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen. Ms. Dabadi is so correct. Listen, this government, you see, remember what the Homeland Security Minister had threatened about things we posting and propaganda, and he will he will send your name to the U.S. Embassy and revoke your visa, and the U.S. Embassy put him in his damn place and let him know, you can't tell we who visa we must take back, right? But based on all what he said,
that's what he said?
What you said?
That is what the U.S. Embassy said?
Yes, you didn't see the response from the U.S. Embassy.
No, I saw the response. So I didn't know that's how they say it. But
yes.
That's an interpretation.
Yes.
They responded and let him know he can tell them who visa they must take back.
Okay.
That is the bottom line of it. He
right.
pass an outer place and ties the road like they want to go down. You can't say nothing about this government. You can't sing calypso about this government. What the hell is this? No, man. This is ridiculous. So we got as not maestro. Merchant had sung, you got to be careful what you say when you're saying it. This is where we have to do now. Careful what we say when we saying it under this UNC government. All who sing yellow is the code, all you take it in all your platform. Take it.
They go back to their reference form this morning.
No, I'm telling you, since this morning, since yesterday, people telling them on Facebook, that's all you voted for. Take it in all your platform. Just like them who get the 50,000 who went home from CPEP and URP. A lady tell me in the head office in Arang West, she said they used to be saying, oh God, Rowley must go, and that. And she said when Kadisha rest the hurt on them, the nanny dead. But as they say, careful where you ask for, right? I want to make a request. Could you all bring the Minister of Works on the program? Because I want her to tell this nation why our roads, I thought only Diego Martin Road was a mess. I went to a funeral down in South. Well, Jesus, Lord. It didn't, it has some roads you could go on the next side. There was no side to go on. Where that was, St. Clement's Anglican Church, we went, Palmyraville, somewhere. Boy, listen, the
whole road, rather.
It seems like all over TNT, the road, I don't know about Tobago, but in Trinidad, the roads are in a mess. So this is a SOS to the Minister of Works, Jolene John. Come and tell us why our roads are not being paved. Well, I ain't even talking about the trees. The mayor said it, and my councillor had told me the corporation is not responsible for the river. It's the Ministry of Works Drainage Department, and up to now, 2 years and counting, like they're on vacation. They must be going out in Iran. So y'all, and here, Wendell, you only
the other MP.
Mr. Diego Martin, that's much we have to go.
The MP can champion that cause for what you doing?
Yeah, Jill. Mr. Diego Martin was on a roll, like she had everything like Richard when he talking about the play. She then rattle out everything.
Oh Lord.
Anyhow, this is where we have to leave it for today, people. Thank you so much for being with us. And make sure that we get all this.
We try and get another guest. We get a guest, an international guest. Richard is working on an international correspondent to talk about what's happening in the Middle East, because it doesn't look good and it doesn't look like it'll end anytime soon. All right? People are losing their lives by the hundreds in the Middle East, and
places are just totally being destroyed.
Yeah, imagine a place like Dubai,
but
UAE get caught up in this thing now simply because they have American interests there. They ain't part of it, but because they have American interests there, they are now caught in the middle of this war. Caught in the middle of places being destroyed, people losing their lives. A place like Dubai, where everybody says is a tourist haven, and everybody want to go to see what it looks like. Now all of a sudden you're scared to go there. Could you
Yeah.
imagine that?
And they would take a while to recover from all of those things, huh?
Yeah, because how do you recover from a war that you don't know when it's going to end?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I'm seeing that the UK, France, and other places are actually now taking evasive actions to protect their spaces now.
Yeah, all they're backing away from America. Look, Spain. You see the statement Trump made on Spain? He said we will not be doing any more business with them because Spain refused to be part of it, refused to allow them to use their place. You understand? Could you imagine that? America, I wish all the luck. I hope whenever I go to America, it's just a pass through.
I hope so.
Yeah. Folks, have a wonderful day. Remember to let go and let God. Take care.
Yeah. Apparently, Richard has gone into to see about something else. So this is where we're going to leave it. Make sure they go and get all their tickets for Scandal. It's on this Saturday and Sunday at the Central Bank Auditorium. Saturday is 8:30. Sunday is 6:30 p.m. And as he says, get your tickets at all the usual outlets. I think that's the best you can do for him. All right.
If Richard was smart, Sir Charles, he would have immediately get tickets down by Prano shop, snack it in Cedros.
And Cedros, yeah.
So the minister advertised a place this morning. That is his family shop. Richard should be selling tickets from Prano shop right now in Cedros.
Okay. All right, so people stay with us on the stream. New Era TT Radio continues at newerattradio.com. That's for all the folks who are on our social media platforms and on Gael. Well, they probably have gone by now. And newerattradio.com, New Era TT Radio on TuneIn. And we continue to entertain you all throughout the day. So we will join you, God's willing, tomorrow again on The Breakfast Show. So this has been
The Breakfast Show.
Get up, get up. It's the time to start the day. The Breakfast Show is here. We bring in the soca way. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah.